So, come on, AJ versus Ngannou. First of all, what do you make of it as a fight?
It's exciting. It's another one of these crossover fights. Obviously, leading on from the Fury and Ngannou fight, I think people will be excited because that was an unexpected one. Maybe not. I don't think it will go the same way. I still think Joshua will be able to dispatch with him within 6 rounds. That Otto Wallin performance was a very good performance. Yet Wallin maybe wasn't as spiteful as people were hoping for. But is that down to the fact Joshua didn't let him get any work off? So I think Ngannou will bring a bit more heat. He'll know he'll have to. He can't sit back on his laurels and let Joshua get comfortable. So they're going to be 2 big punches coming towards each other, and I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, there's no doubt about him. I agree with everything you're saying. Joshua's definitely going to have to impose himself in the same way he did against Otto Wallin. And he may have a much harder fight than he did with Wallin. I've spoken to Ben Davison about this already. Yeah, look, Ngannou held his shape well against Fury. He's an immovable object. He's very strong. He looks all right switching to southpaw. He may even try that. But I think Joshua's got to be big, booming, aggressive, and dominant. And in many ways, if he can't shake Ngannou and put him away, he's going to have a tough 10 rounds.
He will. Well, one thing that I'm thinking about as well is, when did Fury fight before that fight, the Ngannou fight? When was his last fight before that? Do you remember? When Fury fought Ngannou?
Well, it would have been Derek Chisora in December.
So that was almost
December. So it was 10 months.
11 months. 10 months difference, and you could see the timing wasn't quite there. We saw it with Wilder, who'd been out the ring for God knows how long, and only had 1 round with Helenius. Timing's a big thing as well, and I think where Joshua's been active against Franklin, against Helenius, the last fight with Wallin, that's going to pay dividends when he's fighting, because he's had camps back to back. The timing's there, and that does make a big difference. When you get to these big level fights, yeah, it's hard to make them, but you've got to stay busy because timing is everything.
One of the things I did think about Joshua, though, I do like the link up with Ben Davison. He looked like he had the perfect game plan. Step in jab early to head and body. Left hook coming off the jab, I thought was good. The right hand was effective. We saw more action from Joshua. He was straight into it, center of the ring. I think he's got to do that against Ngannou. He's got to be dominant, exactly. He had an aura all week. We'll come to Deontay Wilder and Joseph Parker in a minute, but I think Ngannou's got an aura about him as well. He doesn't say much. He's got a great presence. He's a very big human being. And what we found with Fury, if you remember, Johnny, is that he wasn't able to lean on Ngannou. He wasn't able to get hold of him. He wasn't able to tie him up and clinch with him. Joshua's not a big guy for the clinch, is he? He's not an inside fighter. So it's more than anything, it's probably going to be a standoff fight. But I wonder whether Ngannou, which he didn't do against Fury, might try and rush Joshua as well. Might try and rush into him. And I'm sure Ben Davison will prepare him for that as well.
Yeah, well, Ngannou's got to make it uncomfortable for him. And being on Joshua's chest, as you said, he's not known for being such a great inside fighter. He's got great slick hands. He's very powerful at range. And yeah, as you said, against Wallin, he still dominated, but wasn't rushing him, wasn't in a clinch, roughing him up. He was just holding the centre of the ring. And if he can do that with Ngannou, he can make it an easy night's work. So Ngannou's task will be to close that gap. And whereas Fury that timing was out a little bit, I think Joshua won't be the same. So he won't be able to stay on the outside as much. He'll have to go and close that gap.
I think with that performance, what he's done for himself, he is back. Definitely, he is back. You know, the Jermaine Franklin fight, the Robert Helenius fight, obviously they were victories, but you didn't feel a resounding thump on the desk that he was back. This was it. And I think what he's done, he's set himself up for a process that if he wins this and he looks good again, that Hrgovic fight is there. He will have got more money than a Flip Hrgovic fight. The Zhili Zhang fight might have been there. But you then start to look at if Usyk beats Fury, a trilogy fight with Usyk, or if Fury beats Usyk, and I do think Fury will beat Usyk in the 2 fights, I just think that we will start to talk more and more again about this massive British blockbuster, either late this year or early next year, Fury and Joshua.
Fury and Joshua would be an absolutely massive fight. I was talking about this the other day. Yes, it'd be great if it happens in Saudi Arabia. It happens there, but imagine that in England. Wembley Arena or something, Wembley Stadium. That would be fantastic. But yeah, you mentioned someone there who's sort of been phased out of this situation, Zhili Zhang. I don't think anyone's in a rush to fight the big Chinese southpaw after what he done to Joe Joyce. I know Joe Joyce probably wasn't on the form that he should have been for these two fights, but I don't think anyone's going to be queuing up to fight Zhang because he's big, old unit, 19, 20 stone. And he's 41 now. Phase him out for another year or so and he might not be the same. So that's another name that's got to be in that mix pretty soon.
Will Bosch ever meet Bang or not?
Bosch and Bang. If he was 5 years younger, maybe. But he's got no benefit of fighting me, has he? And,
he'll be gone.
Yeah. Big Bang Zhang. He's called Big Bang for a reason as well. You'd have to stay away from that right hand. I've had a Chinese with Zhang, with my dad. He was such a gentleman. His whole team, his managers, the sons of Mills Lane, the famous referee. Great team, great people.
Yeah.
And I'd love to get some sparring in with him if that's possible.
When you stood next to him, did you think he was like? Were you surprised about what big unit he was?
No, because he had a tracksuit on that was quite slimming at the time in Chinatown. He was, and I thought he was big, but I didn't realise until we got into that ring and stood next to Joe Joyce. His top was off. He looked absolutely huge, huge specimen of a man. And what a gentleman he is, though. I must say, what a gentle soul he is.
Yeah, he is.
When he puts them gloves on. It was just sad to see, obviously, my friend Joe Joyce, the way that he lost that fight. But Joe will be back. That's another story for another day.
Let me throw this at you then, your friend Joe Joyce. What do you reckon about the timing being right for a rematch right now with Daniel Dubois?
I think Joe. Listen, I've been with Joe for his last few camps and had eyes on it. I was with him for his camp with Joe Parker, and he needs to get that eye of the tiger back that he had for that camp. Because when I was in camp with him then, he was only drinking water. He wasn't eating anything wrong. He was super focused. And if you want to fight these top guys at elite level and want to beat them like he did to Joe Parker. That Joe Parker just beat Deontay Wilder, and look what Joe Joyce done to him. He needs that mojo back, and I need to see that first. So he needs a couple of warm-ups, and then he can be in that mix again. But time is ticking, and I don't want to see him rush into anything and think, right now, I've got to rush in to get myself back in the mix, because that's not the best way to do things. I need to see Joe Joyce back with that eye of the tiger. That's what I need to see, as a friend of his, you know?
But do you not think at his age, I know that's a friend, but at his age, has he got time? Has he got 2 fights to play out? Has he got the whole of the year to play out to get back to that level? Because again, a big victory for him. He suffered 2 defeats in close proximity, hasn't he, this year? You know him well enough. You think he needs a confidence booster, yeah?
Maybe just one fight. Get a camp going again. Get into rhythm with your training, and then maybe to the middle, to the end part of this year. Listen, it's not that far away. One camp for a fight, 2-3 months, get a good win against a name, not one of these top level guys, but a good name, and build a bit of momentum with that camp. Go straight into another camp for a big fight with someone. I don't know if it's Daniel Dubois, but maybe he gets that Joe Parker fight again now, or there's another fight out there of that sort of ilk of people, you know.
You mentioned Big Bang Zhang and Deontay Wilder's being talked about on that March 8th card with Joshua and Ngannou. I don't want to take anything away from Joseph Parker because it was a pin-perfect performance of precision, calculated boxing. Took the right hand away, pushed the bully back onto the back foot, and I mean that in a respectful way to Deontay because that's the way he wins fights, by bullying. Took his right hand away, landed his overhand right himself, battered him in one of the rounds, nearly finished him. That aura of menace was taken away by Joseph Parker. Big jeopardy for Deontay Wilder going into this fight against Zhili Zhang because we know how dangerous he is. But a massive opportunity for Wilder to climb that ladder a couple of rungs again if he's spectacular and knocks him out.
Yeah, it is. This is the nature of the business we're in. One win and you're back right in, rolling in, you know. So he'll be looking at that fight thinking he's got a great chance. But he's another one that I think he's lost that. Not Joe Joyce, I'm not saying he's on the same level of Wilder in terms of how he's lost it. When I watched Wilder, I thought he's not talking like the killer he once was, you know. He's not talking, I know it was vulgar, the language he used to use sometimes, but that spite and menace has gone. And can you get that back? I don't know. Don't know if you can get that back.
Final one, Joseph Parker. Where does he sit for you right now? I've got him as 4 or 5 in the world with Zhili Zhang under Fury, Usyk, and Joshua. Where have you got him right now? Who for him next, do you think?
I think him versus Daniel Dubois is a great matchup. I think that's a great fight. Both coming off of respective wins. Jarrell Miller, obviously, not a elite opponent, but a name that's known, and gave Dubois a great test, and he came through it in spectacular fashion. Parker coming off a great win with Wilder, I think it just makes sense to make that fight next.